Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Okay, Jay Fallon here. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. This episode here will just be on YouTube, just so you know. So, regarding QPS, a couple of things that have happened over the last week or so. The first story that came out, man, to be honest, I didn't want to talk about it because it disgusts me when these things happen. It also makes me wonder, yet again, uh, how officers like this with these kinds of, let's say, issues get through HR. It really does bother me. Some of the recruits, some of the people that get through, the job of HR is to try and weed out people who have issues. And when I was at the QPS, when I was working for the Triple C, I was doing obviously doing covert surveillance. Uh, one of our roles, besides besides investigating organized crime and this kind of thing, also investigating police officers who were partaking in illegal activity. And it always surprised me how some officers had made it through the recruiting process. When you look at some of the issues, some of the things that would come up from their background, you're looking at it going, well, this is what happened in their background. How did they even get in the first place? And it feels like so often that when they're going through the process, HR just overlook way too many things. So I was looking at these stories. This story came up in particular, and I thought, wow, how did they get in the first place? The first thing I'll talk about is I'll bring up the story so you can read along if you so desire. This was in the Courier Mail last week. And so, yeah, this is why I was absolutely well, just well, I just didn't want to talk about it, to be honest. It just disgusts me so much. But anyway, Queensland police officers charged, suspended over alleged possession of child abuse material. Where are we going, QPS? Where are we going? A police officer has been suspended after being charged with possessing child exploitation material in Queensland. The 30-year-old male senior constable from the Brisbane region has been charged with obtaining the material while off duty. The member has been charged with one count of use carriage service to access child abuse material. He's been suspended from the QPS and is expected to appear in the Brisbane Magistrates Court on February 13. The QPS also revealed on Wednesday that a 27-year-old male constable. The difference here, senior constable, you're going to have been in the service for a few years because there's a minimum time frame before you can go up to senior connie. But for the constable, he could be a first year, probably not because they probably would have said first year, but he could be for a minimum time, anywhere from one year to 4 years, something like that. So, if you're a constable in QPS in these days, very good chance that you've only just recently come in. So anyway, 27-year-old male constable from the northern region had been charged in relation to allegedly possessing child exploitation material. It will be alleged that the material was obtained while off duty. He has been charged with one count of use carriage service to access child abuse material. The officer is expected to appear in the Townsville Magistrate Court on 18th of February 2025. In relation to both cases, Queensland Police said the charges were allegations at this stage. In keeping with our commitment, blah, blah. This is the usual stuff. In keeping with our commitment to high standards of behaviour, transparency and accountability, we have undertaken to inform the public. This does not mean that the allegations against the members have been substantiated. Okay, haven't been substantiated, but I'll tell you, who's someone who has been involved in a number of investigations with police, it usually doesn't get down when it comes to police. Allegations like this it doesn't get this far in unless they've got some very serious evidence, very, very serious evidence, because the investigation, in my experience anyway, when you're making allegations, when you're charging police officers, the investigation is usually extremely in depth. You usually have generally you might have police like where I serve, so surveillance, that kind of thing. The Triple C is probably involved, but there'll be a lot going into it before they'll move on charging people. So, yep, okay, allegations at the moment. It doesn't mean that they've been substantiated, but generally, in my experience, there is a lot of evidence there. So, unfortunately, like I said, how do these officers get through? Why isn't this kind of behaviour revealed prior to them getting in to the Queensland Police Service? I think this is just another failure from human resources. The people that make the decisions, that do the background checks, the so-called psychological analysis, okay, that they do. I think these tests constantly fail the Queensland public. It's us. We are the ones that pay for this negligence. Now, the second story I'm going to talk about, wow, another shooting. Another shooting by police in Queensland. And a man who was armed with a knife. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine. He was is a former Queensland Police Service officer. He made it to the dizzying heights of having the gold badge. Anyway, we were discussing a few things. He's like, Jay, whatever happened to the tactical retreat? And we were discussing a few things. I thought, well, you know what? If I'm thinking back through the times where you're doing training and you're doing the, refresher training and this kind of thing, your yearly stuff, there was always, okay, you go into the room, you'd see a man there armed with a knife, yelling expletives at you. There'd always be, they were always trying to make it as realistic as possible. You're in there with your pretend guns that shoot the little paint bullets, the bullets with the paint tips on them. And he was always he was always in a big suit, a big suit with a mask and all that kind of things. He's yelling at stuff. He's standing there with a knife like this, being angry. There was no one else in the room. This is one of the scenarios. You'd go through, maybe you'd be clearing all these different rooms, come up. You get to the one room where there's no one else in the room. The man is there. He's yelling out. He's threatening, very angry. He's calling you every name under the sun. He's got his knife like this. And you do a tactical retreat. Tactical retreat. This is what I've noticed. Okay, Queensland Police Service has the highest amount of shootings by police officers in the country over the last couple of years now. We got the record. That's awesome. So I'm being facetious. It's not awesome. Awesome. It's disgusting. Now, while I can say, okay, whatever, people, it seems to be there's quite a few people out there who's making threats with knives. But when you read some of the stories that come out, it seems to me that police officers, sorry, are losing the art or have lost the art of the tactical retreat. The man's in the room by himself. You say, retreat, retreat, retreat. Got a knife, got a knife, got a knife. Get back, get back, get back to safety. You might hide around the door, something like that. Try and talk to him, keep yelling, keep interacting with him, making him stay at bay. My point is, I've been reading all these articles about these shootings. So many times you hear them and it's like, yep, he had a knife, he was making threats, he got shot. Because if someone's got a knife, you can justify it quite easily. But there's never police retreated, police did a tactical withdrawal, getting back to safety, just leaving the man in there. There was that shooting that happened last year I spoke about. The man was in the house, he was in the room by himself. Police, instead of doing a tactical retreat, no, they come along and, yep, knife, knife, knife. Okay, we won't back out of the room. He made threats, had a knife. We found him threatening. He's got a knife. He's angry. You're in his house. Bang. This man here, I would say, just as a guess, he's probably having some kind of mental episode, as quite happens in these situations. He's I almost guarantee a bit of drugs and alcohol are in the mix, and you add to the mix mental health, and you pick up a knife and start making threats. But there's never any reports these days of tactical withdrawal. So me and my mate, former police officer, former gold badge, were talking about these things, and he said, Jace, does this remind you of the coat of arms? We've got the kangaroo and the emu. What do you know about the emu? They can't They can't walk backwards. That's what it seems like's happened with Queensland police these days. They've lost the art of walking backwards. Have we forgotten our training, or we don't teach that in our training anymore? Anyway, I'll just read this story quickly to you. So the headline says knife armed man shot by police in Queensland. A man is fighting for his life in hospital after police shot him in North Queensland yesterday. Police were called to Lillipilly Street in Vincent's in Townsville, just before 4:30 p.m. yesterday after an armed man in his 20s was making threats. So he's making threats. They're called to the place. They found a man armed with a knife in a house who allegedly confronted police while making further threats. Police allege the man moved towards the police and that they gave repeated warnings that did not halt the man's advance. This is the problem that I see. And now, maybe they've just left it out of the report, but so many times we see these reports come out. Yep, he had a knife. He's making threats. He started coming towards me. We've yelled out, stop, 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 or something like that. We've, gave him orders, but it's never, well, we started to make a retreat, tactical withdrawal, get into a place of safety and keep talking. No, he's made a threat. He's coming towards us, or he's just standing there with the knife at times. So bang, he's got a knife. We can justify it. So many times I've read these stories, and it seems like he's got a knife. We know we can justify, easy to justify. We have the ability to justify because he has a knife. And are they looking at the actions? Are they, when these things are being investigated, are they looking at, hey, what were the other options here? And I'm not saying this to hang, to, hang the officers out to dry, but are they going through all the options? Because there's got to be a reason why, and it's not just because we're having more escalation of people getting out there with a knife making threats. This has always been happening, but it's not coincidental, in my opinion, that Queensland has the highest number of shootings by police officers in the country. Remember, I've done many an episode about it, saying how Victoria used to have the highest amount of shootings in the nation. They had to look at it honestly, take account of the actions of their officers, and say, what are we doing wrong? It's not just all these perpetrators. It's not just all these people who are having mental health breakdowns, who are having issues with drugs or whatever, and coming out there making threats with the knife. What are we doing? What can we do better to bring down the amount of shootings that we have? Queensland Police needs to look at what they are doing. What can they change to make sure they're not just shooting people all the time? Because there's been quite a few shootings where you read the article and you're thinking, man, that is very dubious. This person, he didn't seem to have a chance. He had a knife. He's having a bit of a meltdown. Bang. We need more accountability, okay? And QPS needs to be a bit more honest, not just not be afraid to really hold its officers and hold itself accountable for the actions and for the training that they have put out there, and for human resources who maybe have dropped the ball when it comes to, finding these officers, weeding potential officers out who have issues and they're getting child exploitation material. These are the things we need to talk about as a nation, as a state of Queensland where I live. Anyway, all this is my opinion. Let me know what you think. I think we need to do better. QPS, Queensland Police Service, where I used to work, need to do better. They need to not be like the emu. They need to learn to walk backwards. Tactical retreat. Get behind cover. Don't just shoot because you have a knife. Don't just think, yeah, I'm justified. What are your other tactics? What else can you do? And for anyone out there who's going to say, well, why aren't they shooting at the legs? Don't be a nufty. You got to shoot at the body mass, okay? This isn't about just tactics that don't work. There are tactics that do work. And shooting at your legs is stupid. It's not. It doesn't work because it's, unless you haven't shot a gun before and you've got no flipping idea, that's just ridiculous. So stop saying it. Anyway, this is all just my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon. Please like and share, and check out my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. Jay Fallon Music. Check out my music there. I'm Jay Fallon. Thank you for listening to the Slippery Slope.
Just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's